I'm Richard Porter.
I'm Johnny Smith.
And this is Smith and Sniff, a podcast in which two friends talk about cars and many other things.
Right, before we get rocking and rolling on this one, I'm recording this in a different environment. I'm on the drive of my parents in a Volkswagen T7 multivan, so I do feel a bit like I'm a sort of a roving reporter for a local radio station about to go to a fete, or I'm outside a care home about to ask about the living conditions. But the reason why I have to tell everybody this is because this has been a great van. It goes back tomorrow. I've had it for a week, and I have tested it before and reviewed it, and I do like it. But this particular one has a haunted sliding door because it has double sliding doors. You know, it's got double sliding doors because of people carrier. Yeah, they're both electric, and when I do anything to do with the remote or the driver's door, the sliding door on one side just automatically opens. It's like a really thick dog that goes and fetches a ball when nobody asked it to. It goes and gets you things you didn't ask. So I open the boot, right? I open the boot to go and get something out, and the left-hand sliding door just opens. Then I locked it the other night. I locked it outside my house the other night, and it was on the road because it's too big for my drive. I get woken up at 6:30 in the morning by a Scottish man walking a dog. I was almost stark bollock naked. I came to the door, wondered what was going on. He said, "Is that your van out there?" And I went, "Yeah." He goes, "You know that the sliding door's open and it's been raining all night." And I'm like, oh gosh. So this has happened about 6 times, and I don't know why. I just can't work it out. But so at any point in time, the door next to me, and this is the sound it makes, it beeps twice, and then here we go. Okay, so that's it opening, but I've told it to open there. But it might do that without me commanding it. And it's
the haunted door.
It is the haunted sliding door. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. But I've got to say, it's a great car. This, because it is a car. That's the thing. It looks vanny, but it's a car, and that's what I like about it.
It reminds me, I once, very long time ago, borrowed a Lexus SC 430, full Michael McDonald spec. Not a good car, but it had a haunted boot lid.
Oh, did it?
The electric boot lid release used to just release at random while you were driving along, and so you'd just be on the motorway, and suddenly you'd hear this dunk. And then the dashboard would go, bing, your boot's open. Brilliantly, I discovered if you were driving through an area with speed bumps in it, you'd be driving along and suddenly you'd hear, dunk, bing, your boot's open. Go over a speed bump, the boot lid would then swing open. But if you went over the speed bump vigorously enough, it would then slam shut and the dashboard would go, boom, your boot's closed.
Oh,
and
my
God. Wait for the next time, it just to go... But sometimes it wouldn't happen for ages, and then you think, oh, it's fixed itself, and then ding, ding, your boot's open. It was just bizarre. Also, a Lexus, famously never go wrong. They had this weird glitch, so I can only assume it wasn't a fault, it was a ghost.
It's the ghost of Michael McDonald's boot lid, isn't it?
It's the ghost of Michael McDonald's broken aviator glasses going, well, if I'm broken, you're going to be broken too. But
it is the Twisted Nosebridge Collective. That's what it is.
I can't remember which podcast we talked about, but there's a back ref there to another episode of the podcast from ages ago, which is unhelpful, I know. But anyway, since you're briefly reviewing the multivan,
yes,
I realised that last week you mentioned you've been driving the ID Buzz again and talk about it, and then we sort of forgot to get onto that. Do you have a potted review of the ID Buzz?
Well, I can do them back to back really quickly.
Go for it.
The Buzz is an extremely honest range EV, which I suspect VW's done intentionally because then they don't get told off for being naughty and lying about stats. So when I got in the Buzz, and bear in mind this is the Buzz Cargo with the bolt-in not threshold, what do you call it? The bulkhead. That's it. So it was the van version that we used to transport merch, etc., etc. And I did. I got in it, pressed the button, it said 258 mile range, and I did 258 miles. It was absolutely exactly what it told me. I mean, I drove it normal. This is a lot of motorway because I drove it. I drove it up to North Yorkshire for a job, and it was spot on. And it's a lovely car.
Now, this is funny because I've just been driving the Lexus RZ 450e. You know, their new electric car based on the Toyota XYZ hyphen to the power of pi.
But basically, it's the Toyota This Week on Sesame Street we're learning about.
Yes. I thought it was the Toyota whatever Elon Musk has called his latest child. But anyway, it's that, but with a Lexus shell. Quite a nice looking car, I think, in a sort of slightly over-designed way. But it's and the one I had was that, they're doing them in the sort of the colour of a fancy saucepan, like copper colour.
Oh yes, I love that colour. It's great.
It's nice.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those ones where I find myself going, if I was ordering this car, would I actually choose this? And I'd like to think I would, but I'd probably chicken out at the last minute.
Yeah,
it's really nice. But I know the Toyota version got a lot of flack for having a crap range. The Lexus is not great, but what it has got is quite an honest rangeometer, and the real telling thing about this is it's honest on motorways.
Motorway honesty, that's good.
Motorway honesty is something, I don't know whether the ID Buzz is the same, but maybe this is the new frontier of EVing. It's like, look, we're going to just be completely straight up with you. Yes, if you're doing 70 miles an hour for a couple of hours, you are going to chew through your battery, same as you actually are chewing through petrol or diesel, but you just don't really notice it the same. But I was looking at this because I'm an interesting man. The rangeometer versus miles to destination on the nav, and they were absolutely bang in sync.
Were they?
All the time. Yeah. Like, as in, the rangeometer would sort of change its prediction plus minus 5 miles, but that was at most. Sometimes it would just be 1 or 2 miles. But yeah, we did a whole long journey in it, and I was sort of doing the maths, and I was going, right, as we leave, it's saying that when we arrive, we will have 70 miles range left. And that's what we had when we got there.
Oh, that's good honesty.
It is good honesty, but what it does do is then make the car look like it's not got a brilliant range when you set off, because you kind of go, we had a full battery and we set off and it was showing 177 miles.
Yeah.
But that's also with the aircon on, which I know you wouldn't have done.
Oh, gosh, what are you thinking? What are you
Bloody
thinking?
hell, if we're talking... Sorry, I apologise to sceptics for EV chat corner, but it's been quite warm recently, and I got into our E-Up, and my wife had the aircon off, full Johnny Smith spec.
Yes, good.
And I just filled the battery, and it was predicting 220 miles of range.
That is amazing.
Well, yeah, because it's like the claim is only, I think, 160 or something. So, yeah, it was really full of beans that day. It was going, yeah, let's go to Scotland. Like, yeah, all right, calm down.
Is he like artificially optimistic EV day? Hey, guys, I've just done a face full of Coke. Let's do everything. Let's backflip over the ocean. Yeah, come on.
Handbrake turn. Since we're doing short car reviews, let's just do some internal combustion reviews, because I mentioned last week the BMW M2 that I've been driving. Which is that new one that I think looks quite horrific.
Yes.
But in a sort of fascinating way. It's like spotting a bull with really massive bollocks. I kind of want to look, but at the same time, it's not attractive.
We had a school trip years ago to like a rural life museum, a living museum, and there was a boar there, and in a pen next to, I don't know, some like teepees and like a village with like people pretending to be old school, and we all had film cameras because I'm old and there wasn't digital technology.
Was yours a 110?
Mine was a 110, yeah. And I took, out of the 24 shots that I had in my film, I took 3 photos of the boar's testicles. Because that's education at the Rural Life Museum.
But this is what it's like, isn't it? There's a sort of something weirdly mesmerising about the boar's bollocks. Good pub, that. But and The M2 is like that. It's actually quite horrible. It looks like one of those fucking dimmer body kits on a 205 GTI from the 80s. It's too wide.
Do you know what it looks like? It doesn't look OEM. I think that's the...
No, it doesn't.
But it's done.
Really
it's
doesn't.
done by the OEM, but it doesn't look convincingly OEM. Because I raised my eyebrow at it and gone, "Oh, it would have been nice to have seen the original, but that was more tasteful." And then you go, "Oh, that is the original." So maybe people are going to modify them by putting them back,
shaving them down.
Well, I suggested this when the Civic Type R went too mental and stupid with the winglets and faux vents and all that nonsense. And I said, I think I might have said when I originally reviewed it, I said, I just wish they had the option of like what is now a GT3 touring type spec. So you have the same running gear, same dampers, same chassis and drivetrain, but I just want it in a more like less idiotic body shell, please.
They did sort of do that with the last Civic Type R, didn't they?
Yeah, they did, because I think they listened to me, Richard.
Okay.
Because I've been moaning about it for about 3 years by that point.
That's the power of Johnny Smith.
Yeah.
Well, you should tell BMW to knock it off, because the M2, I think, is fundamentally quite horrible, but in a sort of fascinating way. Also, the one I borrowed was black, and that does hide some of its ridiculousness. But have you ever seen this? It's quite a nice colour, sort of light blue.
Yes.
You can get on those.
I do know.
It's a nice colour, but it doesn't work on that car because it actually makes it look like the entire shell is a mould.
Yes.
It's like just been moulded in one thing, like a toy car. It doesn't work.
Well, it looks like it's just been popped out of the glass fibre yard down by the harbour. By the lads who do a lot of
down by the harbour.
Down by the harbour, they do a lot of
smell.
They do a lot of boat
resiny
repairs.
Smell in the air.
All
yes,
resin.
Yeah.
You know, you just went par. Did you did a bit of a Liam Neeson then, didn't you?
I couldn't tell if it was Liam Neeson or the bloke out of Line of Duty.
Do it again.
Par.
It's so coincidental that you've done that, because in my list of things to mention in this podcast, I've realised I don't think I mentioned it last week, but I've finally got to the episode on Miami Vice where the faux Daytona gets blown up.
Oh.
And it's the episode that features Liam Neeson in it.
Oh, does he blow it up?
He doesn't, but someone who he's having dealings with. I mean, spoiler alert, this was filmed approximately 40 years ago. But it gets blown. That is the episode featuring a very youthful Liam Neeson, who also beds one of the undercover detectives in the Vice Squad. Yeah. Oh, Neeson's he's swooning.
Yeah,
so,
totally.
And one thing I would say is that the blowing up of the faux Daytona was quite dramatic, as you'd imagine. But the introduction of the Testarossa I thought was lacklustre, considering how big a deal it was. So I'd just like to mention this to Michael Mann some 38 years later.
If you could go back and do it again, Mike, that would be great.
Yeah, and the other thing is that Liam Neeson, his character and the other dodgy bloke who he's dealing with in this particular episode, they drive around in a Testarossa. So a Testarossa features in that episode before Tubbs and Crockett get a Testarossa.
Huh.
See what I mean?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Has your rate of consumption slowed down on Miami Vice? Because I feel like this has been a long time coming.
I had a month off. I'd reached saturation point. And so I thought I'd take a month off, and if the thirst is still there, I'll go back in. And sure enough, the thirst was there. And funny enough, you should mention Michael McDonald's spec folding nose bridge glasses, because the last few episodes has had so many bad folding nose bridge glasses in it.
Oh.
There's loads. There's absolutely loads. And I realised when the Testacle Rossa starts to become their new car, the opening credits change. They've tweaked the opening credits. There's a much more impressive speedboat jump in it, with which is a helicopter shot involving them with linen jackets on. It's great. What? I don't know what's so funny. What?
I don't know. Just because it's sort of, I've inferred from that there can be such a thing as an unimpressive speedboat jump. People just went, it's better than that.
Well, it's a bit like when you go over a humpback bridge or a yump in a car quite fast, and it feels like you've got some good, clean air.
Yeah.
Almost a bit dicey. You think, wow, that could have gone quite badly wrong when we landed there. And then somebody might film it or take a picture, which they used to do when we used to do magazine shoots, for car testing, and they'd always be pathetic, always.
Yes,
I'd come back to the photographer and I'd go, that is as fast as I would ever do that. I was on the ragged edge, and he went, well, it doesn't look perhaps as exciting as you're describing it to me. And then you look at the picture and you go, it just looked like I've gone over a speed ramp outside of Asda.
Yeah, it's always the way, though, isn't it? Because the same thing with like doing a massive jump into a swimming pool or something. Someone films it, you watch it back and go, oh, I mean,
it's not.
I'll be honest, it felt like I went 100 feet into the air, but that's clearly not the case. Well, I just wrap it up about the M2. I'm reviewing it. I've written a review of it for the Sunday Times, so I won't spoil the whole thing in case you're on tenterhooks for that. But it's a weird car. The one I borrowed was with the manual gearbox, which, interestingly, you have to pay more for.
Do you?
Comes as standard with an auto. Yeah, it's extra for the manual. And
is that a first?
That's a good question.
More for the manual?
Maybe it is. And I suppose the reason being they assume more people will buy the automatic, as they generally do now, given the choice, even in performance cars. And so they've got to kind of cover the development costs. But yeah, so it's basically it's the M4's engine, but you can't get the M4 in this country with a manual, and an M4 suspension. And I don't know, sometimes it's fabulous, but an awful lot of time you it's just not.
Oh, really?
I don't want one. I just don't want one. I think it's too wide and too heavy and there's something a bit oafish about it I didn't enjoy.
What you're saying is it's not evolution.
It's not.
Compared to the previous M2.
I kept thinking about the old 1M.
Yeah.
And how that actually felt quite small and sort of quite, I mean, not light, but it certainly felt light on its feet.
Yeah.
And sort of quite, you could guide it gently. It didn't feel like it needed to be wrestled down the road so much. And this is it just feels like you've got to drive it with all of your arms, if you know what I mean. It's just one of those cars. It feels heavy, and it's sort of, you need to wrestle it about the place. And that's kind of okay, but I don't know, after a while it just feels a bit moronic. That's my take on it.
Oh, well, I've never driven it.
Your mileage may vary. I don't know. I'd love to hear your take on it, because I'd book one in and see.
I'm going to put one in. And I'll finish up this sensible nonsense with regards to car reviews with the T7 by saying, so the buzz is great, but obviously the infotainment is annoying. I would say that's the only thing about the buzz which is annoying and ill thought through. Everything else seems to be excellent.
Does your multivan have the same Annoy-O-Matic system in it?
It does. It still has the non-illuminating volume and climate control. Yes, but I did. Like I said, I reviewed this on the Late Break Show a while ago now. So it's a 1.4 petrol turbo engine with a plug-in hybrid system. I think it's 10 kilowatt hour battery pack. So it'll do like 45 miles electric only, which is enough for most people to go to work or do school run, etc., etc. But on the motorway coming down to my mum and dad's here in Somerset, which is about 220 miles, 40 to the gallon.
Okay.
So 40 to the gallon, even when the batteries run out and I'm fully loaded. I've got 3 people and a holiday's amount of gear in it, including some barn find tools and a rather smelly
tank. So for a
tank.
little petrol engine having to shift a big unit of a car with a big frontal area, that's actually pretty good.
Yeah. But I think it's really impressive. But it doesn't fit. You can't hear it. It doesn't feel like it's straining. But of course, when you marry together the stats of 40 to the gallon on a run and doing lots of short journeys week to week with EV only, that's actually I think it might be the best product that VW makes.
What?
I just think I think it's getting overlooked a bit because all the fanfare is around the buzz, and T6 people are obsessed with nothing but T6s because, hey, there's nothing more impressive than a basic diesel builder's van with 100 grand's worth of body kit on it. But
don't forget it's got an orange wrap though, so that's okay.
Yeah, it's great. But the T7 it drives like a car because it's based on a car, and my children love it, I love it, and it has an exceptionally practical boot. and you can get each seat is heated individually, and they're about 22 kilos each, so you can actually lift a seat out without needing help from a friend. So I really rate it, and I love it, even though it's got a ghostly side door, which is just completely baffling me every day.
I think I've said this before, but I find that multivan inexplicably appealing. Like, I don't know why. I think it's a dad thing, isn't it? You just go, you could get lots of stuff in that.
Well, I'm sat in it doing this broadcast, and I'm feeling all smug and dad right now. And I've got no good reason for it. So that's the sensible...
Okay. Do you know what? I'm going to ask nicely from Volkswagen if I can borrow one of those, because I'd like to have a go in it, and then we can compare notes.
Hey,
and I don't know. I can't tell if I'm on Volkswagen's shit list, because I keep... Every time I review a VW for the paper...
I'll put a word in for you.
Bang on about how crap their infotainment is.
Can you put a word in for me from BMW about the M2, or is that not going to happen?
I don't know. Again, by the time you get around to ringing them, my review might have been published, and I don't know.
I don't know.
Anyway, right. Well, now, since we're sort of being sensible, I wanted to bring up, have you seen this upcoming auction at which Nigel Mansell is selling all of his stuff?
No.
It's nuts. This was sort of revealed last week, and Sotheby's are doing it. It's happening next month, October.
Yeah.
Sorry, 4th to 11th of October. I think it's all going to be online as an auction. So basically, Nigel Mansell is having a clear out. It's called the Nigel Mansell's Legacy Collection.
He's not dead.
327 things. Well, no. I mean, they sometimes say that if someone just suddenly decides to get rid of all their stuff, it's a bit of a red flag for their general well-being. And I just start to worry a little bit about Mansell's well-being, because honestly, the amount of stuff he's getting rid of, it's extraordinary. There are crash helmets, for a start. There's crash helmets that he wore at Williams in '92. One of those.
Wow.
Offered without reserve, but the guide is £25,000 to £50,000.
Well, that's his zenith period, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
So
and there's a few actually. There's a '91 helmet, a '92, a '94. There's then.
He must have spares, because he's got sons, hasn't he? And they're into motor racing and stuff. Do you think they would want to keep one of those for the family?
Well, you would think so. I mean, I don't know. Obviously, it's hard to know what he has kept, but it feels like there's a lot that's going. There's a 1985 Cannon Williams Honda European Grand Prix helmet. This was his first win. So the helmet he wore when he won his first race, and that's up. The guide is 15 to 20. But it's not just helmets; it's nuts. There are race suits and then trophies up the yin yang. He's getting rid of everything.
Really?
1992 Mexico Grand Prix first place trophy. 1996 Canadian Grand Prix first place trophy. Guides on that is 5 to 10 grand. The trophies all seem to be guided on about 5 to 10. But yeah, winners' trophies from lots of races, particularly obviously early 90s when he was all conquering. But yeah, British Grand Prix 1986 first place trophy. It's mad. I can't figure it out. I was actually, you'd like this, 1989 Honda ST70.
Yes.
Ferrari Formula One paddock motorbike.
Oh my gosh! Yes, that's a DAX ST70. Yeah.
Is it a DAX?
Well, it's the longer frame, larger monkey bikes. It's not a Z50.
Okay, yeah.
It's one you can fit two people.
Sort of quite tall bars, and a long saddle. 5 to 10 is the guide on that. But yeah, it's Ferrari branded up, because obviously he was driving for Ferrari at that point, but it's actually a Honda bike getting around the paddock. I don't know how did he end up with this? Like, did he nick it?
I think he just took it. He just took it and bungeed it onto the back of his motorhome.
I'm having this.
This is brilliant.
I heard that. Yeah, but it goes on and on and on and on. There are steering wheels as well. A couple of steering wheels here.
What?
One from a Ferrari.
One from an Orion Gear 1600.
Yeah, there's one for a Metro Vanden Plas. So it's the 3-spoker. In a sort of beige colour, useful parts. The guide price on the Metro steering wheel, £90,000 to £100,000, because Mansell sneezed on it while he was driving his Metro Vanden Plas around Warwick. I
actually was really close to Nigel Mansell's old country club health spa only yesterday, because I was filming a barn find in Devon, and he's been a Devon dweller for some years. Even though he might have another, I think he's got another home in the Channel Islands. But he's still got his kart track. He's still got his karting track down in Devon.
Do they still use it?
I think they still use it. I haven't been there for some time, but I've went there on a stag do, and and one of his sons was there, and they had and I don't know if they've still got this. I'd love it if they do. I remember they had a Bedford Rascal pickup truck on slick, wide wheels and tyres.
Well, that's going over.
Well, that's what I was thinking. It's either one of the sons is either a dab hand at keeping that thing on the road, or it's like the punishment car that you have to drive when you collect all the cones at the end of the night or something. And of course, big forward control with Euro NCAP 0 on slicks. And maybe it's the rain-only vehicle, just to keep you on your toes with your driving.
Oh,
it's pissing with rain. Go out in the slicked Rascal.
But that's a lose-lose Rascal, because in the dry it'll have too much grip and in the wet it'll have too little. So it's like, what the fuck? That's how you'd synthesise an accident in a laboratory.
It's
you just dab the brake pedal and that thing's going over forwards, isn't it?
It's Mansell's punishment pickup. That's what it is. It's like a game show.
There's an employee of the month, but there's also the worst employee of the month, and you have to use the Rascal pickup to get around the site for the rest of the month without being grievously injured.
And it's nobody's lubed the throttle linkage, so it tends to stick wide open quite a lot.
Incredibly jerky, yes. And it's got the servo off an earth mover on it, so it's just, you just look at the brake pedal and it does an absolute stoppy straight away. But also, now, you've disappointed me here, and you are a worst employee of the month. But if you damage the Rascal, it's coming out of your wages. And so you've got to be just... In fact, I could improve your driving, though.
Well, of course it would. It would be like, it's like trying to break in a wild horse. Isn't it, really? Yes.
It's just, that's what it is.
Yeah.
The slick Rascal is always just trying to throw you off like a horse.
It's Nigel's way of just testing employees of, have you got what it takes to be part of Mansell's karting empire? Have a go on this. Tame this beast.
Let me give you a few more lots from this Mansell auction. Would you like a 1991 Driver of the Year award from Motorsport Actuel, but it's not really an award, it's a belt. It's a belt with Driver of the Year written on the buckle.
Seriously?
He's got two of those because he won it in 1990 and 91. They're both guided at £500 to £1,000. And then
this is a car boot sale garage sale.
It is. It's an absolute. It is. Everything must go in the great R. Nige clearance sale. 1992 it's a telegram from Bernie Eccleston to Nigel Mansell, but for some reason it's not a telegram. It's been made out of metal plate, so it's like a recreation of a telegram, but in metal. It's the telegram, I presume, that Bernie sent to Nige when he won his world championship. Now, Bernie obviously was overwhelmed with emotion at this, as you can tell from the very passionate and sincere words that he sent to Mansell.
Yes. As
follows: Nigel, congratulations on your first world championship. Bernie.
That's it.
That's it.
Oh, that's one for the downstairs toilet. That's why he's put it in.
Really, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I tear up every time I read it. 1993 IndyCar Portland 200 Fastest Qualifier Award. Well, actually, it's not Fastest Qualifier Knife Award. It's a knife, but the handle is an old racing car.
What?
And it's mounted on a plinth. It's the weirdest thing. It almost looks like a letter opener, but it's just bizarre.
And it's mounted on its own plinth. It's not like Excalibur. It's not like the Sword in the Stone, is it? Where you...
No, well, maybe you've got to pull it off the plinth.
It out.
I don't know. 16 Formula One 1993 season VIP guest passes framed. Just this
weird. I don't know. Doesn't quite seem.
Why would you want 16 framed guest passes? Unopened bottle of champagne. There's more of those. Lots of those, in fact. Just unopened bottles of champagne. One of them is from 1988. It's a driver of the day. He got given this champagne as driver of the day and hasn't opened it for 35 years.
The fact that he's kept all this stuff, he's a bit of a hoarder, surely.
Well, it is a bit hoardy. Then there's a photo of a signed photo of Juan Manuel Fangio.
Wow.
Which, I mean, it's great. It's got an inscription. I'm going to look at this. It's got an inscription. Oh, it's personally. It says to Nigel Mansell.
Wow.
I can't read what it says, but it is.
It says
1993.
It says the lovely, charming, the wickedly talented Nigel Mansell.
It's just something like that. You go, if Manuel Fangio had written me a personal note on a signed photo, I think I'd keep that until the end of my days.
Yeah, maybe he's not interested in motor racing anymore.
I can't tell whether that's the thing. Ferrari leather briefcase that guided at £250 to £500. Now, the ones I wanted to highlight to you, because I think these would make excellent stage wear for our next Smith and Sniff live show.
Yes,
there are 5 Cannon Williams Formula One ski jackets.
Oh,
and they are exquisite pieces.
Oh my gosh!
Well, there's also
we need those, Rich.
A whole load of Goodyear caps of the type that Mansell used to wear at the time. There's like a big grab bag of Cannon Williams Honda team merch. So it's got a Cannon holdall, loads of caps, some booties, and a baseball jacket.
See, he's definitely a hoarder. You'd never have kept that stuff. This has all been in a garage that he's forgotten about. You know, he's got
Cannon Williams ski jackets. They're £100 to £200 on the guide, but with no reserve. 4 John Player Team Lotus bomber jackets. Now, these are the real exquisite pieces. 100 to 200 on the guide. But I mean, if you think about it, if they're offered without reserve, if they went for £200, that's still only £50 each for some proper retro F1.
Stop telling people. Stop telling people, Richard.
I know.
We need these.
I'm amazed that so far this auction hasn't got more attention, because apart from the fact that it's full of a load of stuff, it's also why.
Yeah.
And I'm asking some mates who know about F1, and all we can come up with for why he's doing this is that this was all kept at his place in Jersey.
Yeah.
Where there was a little museum. So I don't know. I mean, I'm speculating here, but I don't know if he's maybe selling the place in Jersey and just needs to clear out.
He's probably having his conservatory decorated, and instead of putting it into storage, he's just thought, you know what, I'll get rid of it.
And he's just gonna
get some IKEA stuff.
Gonna buy it all back.
I'll just go to IKEA and get some stuff to fill it in a year's time. Go on eBay and go, yeah, I kind of miss those 16 guest tickets. I'll buy them back.
Yeah, oh God, I can't. But I wish I had 16 guest passes.
I'd love to meet him. I'd love to meet him. He's walked past me twice, but
once when we were trying to do pieces to camera.
That's right. But I would very much like to meet him, and I'd like to know what cars / motorcycles or machinery he actually owns now. Like, what is he really? Is he a bit hoardy, or is he one of these people that has no interest in cars at all? He just lives for the golf course. And for the
I don't know. I mean, he sold a couple of his racing cars last year, a Ferrari and a Williams, I think, and they went for big money, like about £6.5 million, I think.
Gosh.
So I'm wondering whether that opened his eyes to the absolute gold mine that he's sitting on. He's just gone, screw it. Let's just have a clear out. I'm not that sentimental, so let's get it gone. Because it really is. I mean, I feel like wherever this is all being kept, if it's still in the Jersey Museum, there is nothing left when this is all over, because one of the lots is a Nigel Mansell IndyCar crochet doll.
What?
Yeah.
What?
It's just it's exactly what it says. It's a crochet doll of Mansell in his IndyCar kit. And I can't tell if this was official merch or if this was made by a fan. It has the whiff of being made by a fan.
Well, that's even more scary.
He's politely kept it, and then just...
Why hasn't he just given it to a local charity shop on the QT?
Well, exactly.
He just would.
This is what I don't...
Oh, gosh.
It's baffling. Anyway, I thought this would get more coverage. Maybe it is, because they only announced it, I think, last Wednesday. But yeah, I'm just fascinated as to what's going on here, But yeah, I'll put the link.
If
up
anyone
for
knows of
patrons to
anything,
have a look.
or maybe if Nigel or his sons are listening to the podcast, highly unlikely. But if you are, we'd love you to get in touch and talk through the scenario. I also want to know if the karting rascal is still around. Now,
Yes, could that be put into the auction? Because there's a.
I'd be interested.
Chuck in the bomber jackets, and we've got a deal.
I'd love to drive the dangerous rascal with a flammable bomber jacket on. I think that would be amazing.
Well, also, this will see you right. There's one of the lots is 37 miscellaneous Formula One and IndyCar baseball caps.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's the lot for the male pattern baldness chap who's into motorsport. So,
but who's very forgetful and is always leaving them in cafes and things.
Yeah, or he's got loads of cars. He's got a whole brace of MX-5s, and he just puts different caps in the footwells.
Yeah, loads. That's it exactly. Loads of convertibles. Just got a cap for each.
Cap for each one. He knows the score. Now, I wanted to talk to you about some animal cruelty that we've been noticing an awful lot of bastardised Jaguars over the last couple of weeks.
Yes,
and when I drove into Somerset, I saw another one, and I couldn't believe it. Unfortunately, I couldn't get a picture because I was driving. But listen, guys, picture the scene. We're on the ring road around Taunton, just come off the motorway, and there is this X-type estate in black, and it's being driven extremely fast, and I know this because there's plumes of black smoke coming out of it, and there is huge growler decals on each of the back windows of the estate car. Massive.
Oh, God.
We all know what the growler decal looks like.
Yes.
And on the back window, above the exhaust, one on the back window, one above the exhaust, it says, "Black smoke matters." And then another...
What?
Yeah, I know, I just seem to be seeing the weirdest decals recently. And then another one that says, "No smoke, no poke." And this was obviously, it's a turbo diesel X-Type. I just feel like there's so much cruelty to was fairly worthless Jaguars going on at the moment.
I know, what is happening?
I don't know what's going on. I don't know.
No smoke, no poke. Piss off.
I know. I've never seen...
Tell that to an Audi Q7 V12 TDI. But
tell that to a Volkswagen lawyer off of America right now.
Yes.
The other thing I wanted to talk about was I've got a story about a dog, and I've got a story about a gibbon.
Well, now hang on.
What?
No, don't leave fucked about Jaguar Corner just yet, because you remember last week we were talking about a listener whose name we weren't clear on. Although we are clear on it now, actually, because I wrote to him, and he's explained. We couldn't tell if his name was Thomas or Gabriel.
Oh yes. What is it?
One of those was his old YouTube account name, which he had to change because his old account name was Steve McQueef, and then he realised that he was emailing places for work and it was showing up. Anyway, but
our listeners are
just
weird.
after we recorded the last podcast about that mad Jag XJ with all the skulls on it.
Oh, is that Satan and Lucifer in the back window?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is uncanny, but so Gabriel spotted it in Bradford upon Avon.
Yeah.
Near here.
Yeah, it is near you.
Or is it Bradford on Avon, isn't it? But and then just after we recorded the podcast talking about that, another listener, Jim Knights, sent us a message saying, during a recent visit to Richard's current hometown of Bath, so frigging leafy, I came across a contender to rival the fuck-off Pornhub X-Type. It's the same bloody car.
No.
It was parked, Jim says, in a disabled bay at the Royal United Hospital in Bath.
What, the Satan back window XJ?
Yes, but Jim sent us a picture of the front, which reveals it's got a number plate on the roof just above the windscreen that says Satanist.
Oh my gosh.
It's got skulls all over the bonnet, but also the things on the boot lid and on the bonnet that we couldn't see from the previous picture are dozens, maybe hundreds of number 6s, like as in that you'd screw to your front door.
Oh, really?
But
Door
arranged
signs?
in door signs, but 666 all over it.
What,
It's got the word hell spelled out in metal letters twice, and then loads of upside down crucifixes.
Oh my! This
and
is
skulls, and it's got those all over the boot lid. It's got them all over the bonnet. It's got skulls. There are 9 skulls arranged on the front bumper.
no what?
And it has another number plate that says Satan, cable tied to the front grille.
This is
in a way that makes me worry about cooling.
Well, he loves it hot because he's a Satanist. So
oh yes,
so he
wants it.
Oh good. He can't stand.
My engine's getting hellishly hot.
Yeah, he can't stand a cool running rad.
He's the only person in Britain who's got one of those Scandinavian-style block heaters, so the engine is really warm as soon as he sets off.
On the hottest summer of the year, he makes sure he rolls down that little blind on the grill. Oh, yeah. This is awful.
He's on the J-gate, knocking it down into seconds, even though he's on the motorway. That'll get things toasty. There is also,
I've not seen
in
this.
the front seat, there's a skeleton.
What, in the
with
passenger
a
seat?
seatbelt on. In the front passenger seat, yes. And
this is too odd now. There's too much oddness going on.
Yeah.
Why would anyone think that's a good idea? Have they been self-tapping those number 6s just straight onto the bodywork?
It does. I can't see. They might be glued on. I think they're glued on. It's hard to see. What's fantastic is I've zoomed in. They look like they're glued on.
Bloody hell!
Which is still bizarre, but in one of the pictures that Jim sent, you can clearly see there's somebody else taking a picture of this car, so it clearly
it gets attention.
Do
you think? But if they're in hospital, yeah. I don't. I don't.
Jim adds that what you can't see is that, as well as the front seat skeleton passenger, there was another one in the back seat wearing what Jim describes as a jigsaw off of those Saw films mask.
So you're driving around with 2 skeletons in an XJ?
Yes, but for reasons that are... But I just...
It's too much. 9 skulls on the front bumper, that stuck with me.
Yeah, it's too much. Yeah, it's all... Anyway, just very quickly before we move on, we have been sent quite a few times by various listeners this picture that was doing the rounds on Facebook of another X-Type, a saloon, that it's sort of... people who've had sort of quite bad black and white, like just black ink tats.
Yes.
And it just looks like someone's been scribbling on their legs with a marker pen.
Yes.
That's the effect this car has from a distance. It's just got loads of black decals on it, but they're all sort of Jag related. So it says X-Type in big letters along the bottom of the back door, and then Jaguar in front of that. But then it's got... I mean, I don't know where to start.
We need to stop this
from... There's a leaping cat.
We need to stop this all from happening. I'm so worried about second-hand Jaguars.
Well, we need to start a cat rescue place, don't we, really?
They're going to become the automotive pangolin in Britain, it seems.
Yes.
Where they're just not safe. And I feel quite bad for them. We do need to start a cats protection league, don't we? Gosh, I just can't believe how badly modified these cars are.
It's nuts, isn't it? There was another one, I can't find it now. Someone else sent us another badly modified Jag. Also, sorry, while I'm going through listeners' messages, thank you to sweet guy Jonathan Gitlin, who sorted us out with Blue Sky invitations. So if you want to follow us on another channel of social media while Twitter's slowly going to cock, then did you set yours up? I don't know.
I haven't. I'm not that organised, but I will do.
Okay.
By the time you listen to this, I think I will.
But yeah, I'm on Blue Sky. Just search Sniff Petrol. I'm on there. Don't bother searching Sniff Petrol on Instagram because that guy still got Sniff Petrol and won't reply to my messages.
I think we should do him in.
So tell me about Gibbons and dogs.
Right, dogs. Sat down for dinner last night, having come back from a barn find, which you'll find out about in soon enough. But let's just say it's the most expensive, the most exotic barn find I may ever do in my life. Incredible pinch yourself moment.
Is it a Jag XJ with 9 skulls?
Yes, but they're real human skulls, and we had to call in the specialist police. No, it's
a murder car.
It's so I sat down for dinner with my mum and dad and my children, and dad There was a dog at this barn find place. The chap owned 2 dogs, and one of the dogs was one of those dogs that they were about the size of your dog, actually, quite a large creature. And one of them just kept jumping up at me to kind of, I don't know, say hi. He was just very excited. But one time I was talking to the owner of the car, and the dog, slightly out of my peripheral vision, came running at me and dived with two front paws outstretched straight into my genitals. And it was so painful. I was trying to talk to him. He bollocked the dog and locked it away. But for about...
Was this on camera?
No, luckily it wasn't on camera. But for about 15 minutes afterwards, I felt really sick and I had to sort of hunch over.
Oh.
So that was irritating. Then I came home and told Dad this, and Dad went, "Oh yeah, well, do you remember that old American car that you bought that was a bit rubbish?" And I went, "Oh yeah, the Oldsmobile Cutlass." He went, "Yeah." He said, "Do you remember you bought it with a snap tappet?" And I went, "Yeah, from that weird car dealer in Leicester." And he went, "Yeah." So what I did is, my dad had not long retired when I got that car. I sent my dad over there with a tappet, and he spent the morning repairing the tappet, then to drive the car to me. He said while I was repairing the tappet, the owner of the car yard's Alsatian snuck up behind him, and he said, actually bit him so hard on the butt cheek that some flesh came off.
Oh my God.
While he was hunched over the bonnet of this Olds. He said I screamed, and he said it really hurt. He said I had to go and get it checked out. I had to go and get an injection.
Yeah.
But the owner was just so casual, like, "Oh yeah, he just gets a little bit bored sometimes." Like, no, he's just taking a chunk out of my arse cheek. That's not cool. So Dad reminded me of that because I totally forgot about it. I've been crotch leapt by the dog, and then we have. I haven't got all of the information to this because I only saw it about 15 minutes before we started recording this. On Twitter, someone went, a guy we know called Keith Adams, who's a well-known motoring journalist and interesting car guy, just proclaimed his excitement that he's just bought a Volvo XC70 winter car.
Oh, shitting heck.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting to ring the Volvo PR man to get an update on his states in the UK.
Oh, well, don't worry.
Damn it. I'm sorry, I will ring him
and
get... There's probably no news at all. I've built it up too much now, but...
Well, so he's bought one, and then lots of people chimed in and went, "Oh, brilliant choice, lovely, classy cars, sweet cars." And one guy chimed in and said, "Don't listen to the people that say the auto box is really weak. All you've got to do is follow the Gibbons method of flushing."
You are going really long.
So I just read it twice. I was having my breakfast. I read it twice and went, "The Gibbons method of auto box flushing," and I started to try and frantically Google it before we recorded this podcast. I'm still not entirely sure whether it's a person's name who was a wizard when it came to slightly weak auto boxes or what, but there is a well-known in the Volvo circles, there is a Gibbons method to auto box flushing.
It's the Gibbons method. Now, before you put it into park every time, you've got to go...
Well, what I thought was maybe it's a strictly Longleat Safari Park maintenance method, where you drive the XC70 in and a Gibbon bangs on the window and goes, "Right, when I say so, go from park to reverse to neutral to drive, back to park."
Slam it.
And then...
Hey, now, look, I can't believe how many messages we've had about safari parks. It's absolutely overwhelming, and I apologise now for the fact that we simply can't read them all out because there are so many. There was one that did catch my eye. Oh no, see, I've bloody lost that one even. Just here we go. So, from Robert Hempsall, who's just entitled his message "Longleat Shenanigans." He went to Longleat for his 30th birthday, and they got that VIP experience I was talking about, but they were driven around in a Defender 110 rather than a Discovery. He said the remarkable thing is the Defenders were all on 65 or 16 plates, so there seemed to be a conscious choice to get hold of some Defenders before production ended. Of course, the release for the rear door was faulty. Well, of course it was. But he says, regarding the wipers and monkeys, the staff told us that the big obsession was for the small hose for washer fluid, hence the destroying of wipers and also centre rear brake lights. as they often look for the rear washer nearby and then pull the hose out. Apparently, the obsession is caused by the washer fluid making them feel drunk.
Oh, so they're drinking it?
Yeah.
That's got to be really damaging for them.
Well, you'd think so, wouldn't you? I mean, I suppose it is, because yes, it's not good for you. But also, imagine that all these monkeys have then got really vivid blue wee as well. But Robert adds, we also saw a deer kick someone's Vauxhall Mocha, brackets first generation. They did it hard enough to leave a dent in the driver's door. So
Back kicking the Mocha.
yeah, there's another listener called Steve said he worked at a local Renault dealership and was away for a few days when he returned to find a vehicle in the compound with some very strange roof damage. It clearly hadn't been rolled, there were no scrape marks and minimal other panel damage, just a concave roof and shattered windscreen. I asked what happened to that Goodwood Green Laguna out back, and they replied, would you believe it, Steve, a fuck-off grey elephant backed onto it and sat on its roof at a safari park.
I think should we dedicate the next podcast to letters? It's probably
we might have to, because we've got so many.
Yeah,
just because it's pertinent. Since you mentioned Volvos and ex-police cars, which we were sort of talking about with Volvos, we've had a message from an actual police person whose name they've asked not to be read out. But
Quentin Wilson.
But this person
is it Quentin Wilson?
It says, I happen to be a real-life policeman officer. I get the idea that buying an ex-police spec car seems appealing, but I really can't advise against it strongly enough. Ordinary standard response vehicles like the Astra 308 and Focus Estates are driven like hire cars by people without much mechanical sympathy or interest in driving.
Oh.
The higher-end cars, like the Volvos, BMWs and VAG cars, are autos, which at least mean there's one less thing to abuse, and they do tend to be driven by people with a higher skill set. But they're still just a tool and often thrashed from cold. They're also more likely to make contact with other cars due to the nature of their work. We also absolutely trash interiors. They're not normally designed for people to haul themselves in and out of constantly while wearing various sharp appendages. The rear seats will be a biohazard with various bodily fluids having marinated over the last 150,000 miles and probably a few hypodermic needles down the back of the seats.
Oh, okay.
The only exception would be ex-driver training cars, as they are cleaned and checked daily and not driven with the same loads in the boot or while wearing full kit.
So I need, as my family car, an ex-police training Volvo Estate. Is that what we're saying?
Yes.
You have to be specific with the terminology.
It's becoming more specific, and then you have to drive it like a Gibbon to look after the automatic gearbox.
Drive it like a Gibbon.
The Gibbons Method. That is. I'm going to have to find out what this is. I'm sure people are
people are probably writing now. I need to find this out. And the other thing is, do you remember ages ago we were talking about VTEC singers? I think it was Mariah Carey might have been one of them. She's got a VTEC on her.
Yeah, she gets up on cam.
She's up there, and I remember us talking about Florence and the Machine. Florence Welch, and well, when I was listening to Radio 1 recently, old Greg James, he was singing alternative lyrics to Florence and Machine's song "We All Have a Hunger." He thinks that she says "We all have a Honda." Which had me giggling, because I thought, well, hang on, about a year ago, previous to this, we've been talking about Florence being a bit of a VTEC, so that would figure. Yeah. So I messaged him and said, I've heard you singing on the radio about Florence's Hondas. Could you sing one for us and let me put it on the podcast? He said, yeah, I can do that. And this is what he sent me. We all have a Honda, have a Honda. We all have a Honda. And I think, I think that's really, really lovely, sweet.
Lovely stuff.
Lovely, sweet singing.
Are you sure that wasn't Florence Welch herself? Because it sounds uncannily similar.
We all have a Honda. That's actually my favourite, Florence and the Machine. It's my favourite. It's Lawrence and the Machine. It's actually...
Lawrence and the Machine. Is that her brother?
Yes.
He was jealous of her success, but he's not very imaginative.
Yeah.
So he just went, I'm
Florence and Lawrence. It's fine. I actually think that's my favourite Florence and the Machine song. So thanks for that, Greg. Much appreciated.
Sort of on the Honda note, since we sort of are reading out a few listeners' messages, a listener called Simon wanted to just fill in some info about that Hero motorbike that you saw.
Oh, yes.
It says Hero Motorbikes used to have a joint venture with Honda, so it's a separate company.
Oh.
I guess.
They made under license.
He says Hero Motorbikes used to have a joint venture with Honda, and all Indian Hondas were made and sold under the banner of Hero Honda.
Yes.
The two parted ways about 8 years ago, and Hero still make bikes that resemble old Hondas.
Yeah.
Because they are.
Yeah.
Honda now have their own plants and sell bikes purely as Hondas.
I wonder what happened. There must have been some bad blood between Hero. There's a lot of CG125 lookers about, but
yeah.
Oh, I forgot to mention, while I was at the dinner table with Dad last night, and he reminded me about being attacked by a dog whilst doing the tappets on an Oldsmobile. He also said this, which I've never heard of. He said, next time we come up and see you, we'll have to go in that really lovely Greek restaurant again. There's a lovely Greek restaurant in town where I live. He said, the last time I went in there, I mended the toilet. And I said, what? I said, what? Did you? How? What do you mean? He said, well, I went in the cubicle halfway through the meal with you and your brother, and the toilet wasn't working properly. It wasn't flushing properly, and I suspected I knew the problem. I've dealt with this before. She said, I just took the top of the cistern off and just started fiddling with it. And he said, a couple of minutes later, I just mended it. And I went, what? So you mended a restaurant toilet without telling anybody? And he went, yeah. Really... So he's
without telling anyone as well. So, can we have some money off the bill, please? Because I've just mended your.
That's what I thought. So not only is he a vigilante kind of hedge clipper, because he's actually. I went out for a walk with him 2 days ago, and he said, "Yeah, I'm going to have to bring the secateurs next time. There's some real low hangers to clip them out of the way." He's also a vigilante restaurant toilet mender. I don't know what's good.
Vigilante plumbing.
Yeah.
That happened once. A mate of mine, I went to the US with a mate of mine, and we were in a motel room, and I hit the bathroom door was open, and he was in there, and I looked in, and he'd got the top off the lid. I was like, what are you doing? And he used to work on building sites when he was a student, so he knows about these things like minor level plumbing, and he was fiddling around, this loo's taking too long to fill, it just needs adjusting. And he was just adjusting the float on it.
Oh, yeah, the ball cock.
So that it... Yeah, so that's quite good. Again, it's sort of his vigilante low-level plumbing.
Has anybody
nice thing to do?
Has anybody done this? Have anybody done something as strange as my father? So going to a restaurant and then mending the toilet whilst he goes for a poo.
But it's also, I just quite like. There's something very satisfying about it. It's almost like being a sort of a very shit superhero. Because I did it. We stayed at a friend's place recently, and they have a cafetiere. And I noticed, they've got sort of metal bands that hold the glass in.
Yep.
The top metal band had gone a bit slack.
Yep.
And I was like, I know what's going to happen next is someone will be washing this. The glass will fall out of the carrier.
Oh, it'll be awful.
And break, because I've had that happen.
Yeah, me too.
And it's just got a little screw on the back of it. And I went into their kitchen cupboard where they keep, their kind of stuff cupboard. And there's a screwdriver in there. And I just tightened up the little metal band. Didn't tell anyone, just did it. And it gave me a little warm feeling of satisfaction. I
love that. I think it's simple fulfillment on a daily, weekly basis. I think that's what happens with my dad. My dad loves, and my brother as well, they love to find a little problem that's irritating a lot of people. And maybe it's been like that for a long time. And then just sort it. Just sort it.
Yeah.
They don't need to proclaim that they've done it. They've done it and they're happy in themselves that they've done it. And I kind of like that. The world needs more of that, doesn't it?
Well, that's a kind of nice thought for the day to end this on. So let's wrap this up.
Yeah, that's right, mate.
Before we go, 3 things to tell you. They are: 1, Johnny has a solo YouTube channel. It's called The Irritate Statham Show, in which Johnny follows around a slap-headed hard man trying to get on his nerves. This week he's sitting opposite him in a restaurant flicking peanuts at his head while talking loudly about how attractive Kelly Brook still is. If that's not to your taste, there's always the Late Break Show. Lots of excellent cars on there, videos about stuff. What have you got coming up?
I've done a road review on the new electric Abarth 500e to see if it really is a decent hot hatch.
I'm borrowing one of those in a couple of weeks' time.
Okay, well, you'll find something extremely irritating about it, which I won't tell you. You have to,
Really?
yes.
Interesting. Okay,
and,
good. I'll be braced for
and
that.
if you've not seen them already, A, who are you bastards? But B, the MG Maestro Turbo and the BMW E9 barn finds, both worthy of your eyes and ears, I would like to think. So
Yes,
watch
I love
those.
that Maestro one.
Yeah, the Maestro's...
Some very appropriate music early on in that Maestro vid.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah, just good synthy 80s style. Second thing I've got to tell you, I have various books out. One of them is called And on That Bombshell. It's a book about my time working on Top Gear 2002 to 2015. Loads of stories, anecdotes, behind the scenes stuff in there. Available all good bookshops, probably some shit ones as well, and lots of charity shops these days, I would imagine. And the third thing I've got to tell you is that the Knight Rider theme tune is cribbed off a piece of music from a ballet.
What?
Delibes' Procession of Bacchus from the ballet Sylvia.
Really?
Yes. Go and look up. Yeah, Leo Delibes. It's called Procession of Bacchus.
Yep.
And it is that din, 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 that is just lifted straight from it. Now, I once went to the ballet. I've only been to the ballet once in my life, and it was that ballet, Sylvia. And this piece of music came on, and I was a bit like, this is the Knight Rider. In the interval, I was saying this to some people that we were with, and this nice Midlands voice from behind me said, yes, I thought that as well. And I turned round and it was the singer Beverly Knight.
Really?
And she agreed with me, yes.
So
she went, I thought it sounded like the Knight Rider theme. And I went, see, an actual musician agrees with me. And it turns out we were right, because it was cribbed off this Delibes.
That is brilliant. You and Beverly Knight breaking the ice over Michael Knight's intro music at a ballet.
Exactly.
That's brilliant.
Right, well, that's quite enough of that. Thank you ever so much for listening, and we will do this all again next week. But until then, goodbye.
Bye now. Thanks, please.
You know just what to do. Like and subscribe and review. You know just what to do. Like and subscribe and review. You know just what to do. Like and subscribe and review.
Did you have the sort of like double time fill-in drumming going on as well?
No, they didn't do that in the ballet, strangely.
See, that's where the ballet
or
was...
do the voice as well. It's just
that's where the ballet was going wrong.
Darcy Bustle is a woman from another time.